Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another professional level match beyond all reason. I'm excited to take a look at this one and see exactly what goes down between these pro level players. Now our blue team leader spawning on the front lines of the blue team here has a name that I think we can all empathize with at least a little bit here. And a commander that goes by the name is an Armada commander that goes by the name of Stupid. Yeah, just stupid. Plain and simple, and I think we've all been there at some point or another in our lives. All the way on the other side of the map, we have a red commander with a very wonderful name here as well, God Hates Cowards. So we've got two very high-spirited individuals going to be leading our teams today, but they also contain quite a lot of open skill. 42 open skill for the both of them. Rare that we see a perfectly evenly matched top of the top, but it does so happen to be the case today. Going to be showing us what they've got here on this very interesting map that goes by the name of Swirly Rock. So Swirly Rock is oftentimes compared to KOOM Valley. KOOM Valley is a fan favorite, a cult classic if you will. It's one of those maps that has a very, very strict meta. A meta that you kind of have to follow, otherwise you are being a detriment to your team. And don't worry, your teammates will let you know about it. This map has a little bit more flexibility. There's this backliner spot where Fantasy for the red team is going to be spawning the hot pink commander. There's a lot of metal available, and there's also a lot of interesting plants available to reclaim. You can see some of these weird, pulsating, gyrating starfish plants. Is that what they're actually called? No, they're called carnivore plants, which is horrifying to think about what this thing does to make it a carnivore. But anyways, those plants have quite a bit of metal in them, actually. If I switch to my metal overlay, there you go. You can see, indeed, about 300 metal on these ones and 400 here. There's a lot of metal out and available on the map for reclaim. What that means is that early game leads are going to be prevalent for whoever manages to claim these middle areas. You can see these are lined up in the middle of the map, so to be contested. Means that early scout harassment and early reclaim with these res bots is going to be crucial. It also does incentivize a lot of commanders to go into bots on this map. Sometimes if you're in between, you're on the fence about whether you should go into vehicles or bots, putting a little reclaim out on the map does tend to sway your hand towards a lot of those res bots. Just a lot easier to get that reclaim into your hands if you have access to those very, very lovely res bots, of course. Wow, tick micro. It's a tricky thing, but Stupid has done wonderfully here to make sure that all of these units walk away from this engagement alive. I don't mind that one bit. Yeah, not bad. My sound has suddenly died out. Oh. We were muted. Well, that's a bit of a whoopsie. Hope you enjoyed the sultry sounds of my voice. I was wondering why on earth we were having such low audio quality there. I've been fiddling with the audio settings for a while, basically this entire week. I was about to have a heart attack. Thanks for making it through that earlier rendition. I know I lost about 80% of people after they realized there was no audio, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of comments about it too. People that didn't hear anything and then rushed down to the comment section. Fair enough. Early Shuriken. Doing wonderfully. Allowing these ticks to take down a blitz right there. Definitely quite valuable. All said and done though, the damage is relatively minimal here. Yeah, relatively minimal. No metal extractors taken down, no wind turbines harassed or anything like this, but this is an advantage. So I was saying it already, but once again, the orange commander now going to have about a 300, maybe 400 metal advantage over the blue commander, just by virtue of having been able to reclaim all this metal out here on the front line. Stupid not really contesting this high ground, or at least not with the commander. Oh, maybe we're going to change that. Okay, yeah, we do have a transport plane that's going to fly up to the high ground here and deposit the commander up on this mountain area. Grunt's trying to blast away at it, but for the time being, that commander will be more than enough to lock down this front line, and Spreezy is now put a little bit further behind. This advantage of reclaiming all the metal out of these plants here will be mitigated somewhat if Stupid can manage to hold both of these metal extractors for a decent amount of time and extract resources from them over the long term. Definitely easier to say than it is to do. Lavender Commander, Border Bridge, going to be going up against God Hates Cowards. We have a single LLT here. Uh-oh. There we go. Commander needs to step back right there, not stand in the laser fire of the LLT there. Very, very high damage, specifically against commanders, those LLTs, so you do have to be very careful about that sort of thing. Little bit of aggression coming across the map now. Orange State in a little bit of trouble. It's not enough pawns to kill the commander, but it's certainly enough to harass down, for instance, any LLTs or other early buildings we're sending out. Love the repair micro there, by the way. Going to try and send a little bit of a blitz to the front lines, pull it back after it's been repaired. Lovely stuff. Big grunt pull coming across the map right here. The shurikens paralyzing the grunts of the yellow commander up on the northern side, allowing for a really efficient trade. but tons and tons of pawns are making their way down on the southern side. Look, cries out one of the players here. I didn't even know you could do that, but there you go. Cries out, look at all these pawns running forward right now. They do get the constructor, and that slows down this expansion quite a lot. They're also going to get this metal extractor. That's wonderful. Yeah, there's not enough to defend all this. Shuriken up in the air, trying to paralyze as many of these as possible. Always very tricky to get that shuriken microed properly. But nicely done, and eventually this is all spared quite easily. Lovely, lovely stuff. Now that aggression has actually forced the Orange Commander back to their lab. Going to have to go back to the lab again, and Spreezy's definitely not going to be happy about that. Moving up to the high ground was the ideal situation here, but now Stupid thoroughly has control over this. He's going to start setting up those metal extractors. Static defense should come up as well. Wouldn't mind seeing some anti-air to deny, for instance, any of those good old-fashioned transport drop shenanigans as well. Forward lab right here for the Red Commander. Not satisfied with producing off of this high ground here. Going to be reclaiming from this lab instead, but a single tick has taken down one of these metal extractors. Always cheeky when that ends up happening. Maroon Commander in a little bit of trouble here. Oh, there we go. We have some pawns moving towards the front line. It's tricky. This could go either way, depending on who wins this fight, the Admiral or Emro. Emro? The Maroon Commander. Whichever one of them wins this fight, whichever one of them manages to sustain their army a little bit longer, will end up collapsing on top of the other. Yeah, those pawns are running by right here. They get a metal extractor. They get a solar panel as well. They have a red commander dropping forward. As Stupid very helpfully pinged about 4.5 quadrillion times. Fantasy has airdropped the commander forward right now. Fighters do shoot down the transport, so this is a one-way trip right now for the hot pink commander. Is it going to be worth it? Orange State can actually win this duel, I believe. Maybe not. No, actually, I think that'll bring down both commanders if one of them explodes. They decide to disengage and are actually going to go ahead and disconnect from each other. The hot pink commander, Fantasy, going to go ahead and back off at this point. That is the air player, so it's kind of an expendable commander. Oftentimes, we'll see it used, of course, as metal for that T2 transition, but of course, sending it to the front line is not a terrible idea either. Rocketeers slowly but surely dismantling the front lines right here of the Admiral. Medium tanks slowly rolling out of this forward lab right here. We've gone into the bot lab, vehicle lab split. Very powerful if you can maintain it, but of course this forward vehicle lab is a little bit exposed. Missile trucks, quite nice. We need a couple of Janus to really thwart the advances of these Rocketeers. Really the only thing that's threatening enough to force the Rocketeers back. Medium tanks are essentially countered by Rocketeers, at least in mass they are. Definitely tricky. Rocketeers on the high ground as well here for Stupid. Gonna take a 2 versus 1 to try and clear this out. God Hates Cowards moving up the high ground with the commander. Spreezy also moving into position. There is a single LLT here. It'll start blasting away at that commander if it gets the opportunity to. Oh, lightning turret. Lightning turret. Very dangerous. Spreezy does cloak. Do we have the energy for it? Oh, we have an E-storage, so we just barely managed to have the energy for it. Double D-guns right there from the orange and red commanders working in tandem, pushing forward right now. Oh, very dangerous, though. Yeah, commander looking really low for the red leader here. Wow. What a beautiful bout of teamwork right there from the orange and red. Managing to push back all those very expensive static defenses that were meant to clean all this up. Yeah, Stupid looking for a trade on either one of these commanders. Strawberry moving in to try and get her piece of the action as well. Stupid in a little bit of trouble here. Might have even overextended sending the pawns in that early. Oh, Fantasy transported up here as well. We could have seen a D-gun. Stupid going to end up trading the commanders out over here. Strawberry marching forward as well, trying to get their hands on some of the reclaim. If she can manage to lock down that reclaim, that wouldn't be too bad of a loss right here. Losing this high ground is definitely unfortunate. We do have... Oh, no, that's not a pop-up turret. This has suddenly become the crux of the match, though. Whoever manages to keep a hold of all of this metal up here is going to be in a huge advantage right now. Wouldn't mind seeing Strawberry go ahead. Oh, Stupid exclaiming F this. Apparently unhappy with the results right here, even though most of that reclaim is going back to his team. His or her, I guess I don't know who Stupid happens to be IRL. But anyways, metal going back to the blue team nonetheless right here from Strawberry, who's dancing her heart out on the front lines, trying to dodge a bunch of these rockets. Gonna choose to D-gun those wreckages here. I think that's probably a fair choice. Every rocket that collides here is 4%, or, well, 4.5% off of that commander's HP bar. And we're starting to get real low, 16%. Definitely starting to get threatening here. Did that trigger an immediate T2 transition? It did not. So you can see Strawberry just depositing this metal into the teammates here. Sent some to Stupid, sent some to Orlandi Zykus, the Savage himself up here, up on the northern side. Purple commander. Northern side, meanwhile, has been ravaged. Didn't see who got all this reclaim in the middle, but I'm tempted to say it was probably Adelinho. Yeah, full metal bar. Resbot out on the field, eating up a whole bunch of this metal. Medium tank pushing into the backline right here. We're going for T2. We're going for build power. We have nowhere near enough wind or solar production, so our E-stall is critical. Shuriken here to try and at least mitigate the effect of this medium tank. Very nicely done. Strawberry all over the map with those Shuriken, making sure that all the damage possible is mitigated here. We need them down south now to shut down this run by. We did not go for the T2 transition here on the back of this. I'm actually a little surprised by that. I figured we would probably go for T2. Maybe uncomfortable with the power situation? No, we have a geothermal. Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't go for a T2 transition here from Stupid. Gonna go for a bunch of light laser towers instead, but they won't be necessary here as the teammates have come in clutch to save the day from the Red Menace, and all will be well. Stupid has been handed a commander? Yeah, must have been handed the commander, Strawberry's commander right here. Formerly Strawberry's commander. Now handed over to the Blue Forces to try and hold this line right here. Understandable. It's one of the signs of the pro level play is they're very, very cognizant of the fact, for instance, in this case, that Strawberry is essentially kept alive by the fact that these frontliners are continually fighting, so keeping them happy is definitely a solid investment strategy. Shurikens, once again, continuing to paralyze these medium tanks. If there's nothing to deal with them, though, it is a bit of a problem. Luckily, there's a grunt or two over here to deal with them. Yeah, seems like Adelinho, the Powder Blue commander, has found themselves in a bit of a tricky situation right now. Admiral, likewise, in a tricky situation. Had the geothermal for the energy here, but just doesn't have enough units on the field. Eventually, we're going to get those T2 units out, but losing that geothermal to get the T2 out does mean the T2 production is going to stall out a little bit here. We can always go back and res it. We can always rebuild a new one. You're going to want an advanced geo at some point anyways. But it does definitely hurt. Getting those units out first, getting those T2 units out first, definitely means a huge advantage. So I'm glad to see that at least we're trying to get back into this game with a tech advantage rather than just trying to out-spam our opponents here with T1. What a Rocketeer ball. 2,600 metal worth of Rocketeers. 26,000 metal of Rocketeers would be impressive. No, 2,600 metal of Rocketeers. Certainly worth considering reclaiming here. They're not gaining much value anymore. Shuriken, indeed, jumping on top of them as well. One of those missiles did actually kill a Shuriken. That's pretty impressive. I'm not so sure. I think reclaiming these T1 here and just going ahead and going for T2 wouldn't be the worst idea. Probably the easiest way to afford that T2 transition, of course, is just to go ahead and eat up your T1 units. Vehicle is going to really struggle up this hillside here. Doing a number on a lot of these aggravators for the Orange Commander, certainly, but not going to be able to push much further up that hill once those wrecks have shut it all down. God hates cowards. Going in for the D-gun once more. Man, this commander has gotten some value. Taking down lightning turrets, taking down heavy laser towers, the commander that fears no static defense. Managing to do some really, really good work on the front lines here. Easy to lose sight of how important that commander is on the front lines, but it's exactly moves like that that afford you certain advantages, like for instance running 100 pawns directly into your enemy's commander, the Lavender commander, with no response. Just barely manages to survive. 36% HP, very, very low. If those pawns had been target fired a little bit better, I think they probably would have been able to snag the kill right there. Always difficult to tell, though. It's a matter of judgment because, of course, those those pawns can only see the commander's kind of current state. They can't actually see its HP bar. I guess that rings true for any unit, of course. T2 transition for our Orange Commander. Going to be sending a couple of Sheldon forward on the front lines here. Slowly but steadily making their way up. Once that Sheldon ball gets to a critical mass, we've all seen exactly how much damage that can do. But it does take a minute to get there, and that's the time that Stupid is using right now to go for a bunch of eco. We are going to go into T2 vehicles, which is a little surprising. I would feel like contesting this hillside means you want bots, but maybe hoping to counter the bots of Spreezy with the vehicles. I think on the high ground, the bots have the advantage, though, so I'm not sure exactly how that shakes out. Maybe it makes it about an even fight. I would say probably the advantage goes slightly, ever so slightly, in the Orange Commander's favor, though. God hates cowards. Choosing to make the ultimate sacrifice. Walking the commander directly into the middle of this composition, and it all goes up in smoke. Border Bridge now left alone on the front lines here. I mean, there's a heavy laser turret, but it's not going to be able to do all too much. Commander explosion up on this side of the map, by the way. The Maroon Commander going down. Border Bridge definitely in a lot of trouble. Pawns managed to take down the heavy laser tower. Basically no problem. Medium tanks pulled right here from the Blue Commander to try and deal with a lot of this. And deal with it they do. Comes at a significant cost of leaving this front line more or less unguarded. But for the time being, at the very least, they managed to save this commander. Border Bridge is in full retreat right now. We are going for a T2 transition and a T2 fusion reactor. Very, very metal expensive at the same time to make both of those investments. I think I'd like to see the fusion reactor first, use it to fund a bunch of E-converters, and then use those to go ahead and make some sort of an impact. Sheldon, again, continuing to fire away. We do have a couple of Pitbulls that are cloaked right here. Can we see those? Oh, we cannot. Okay. Yeah, Pitbull's undetected. Could certainly pop up at just the right moment to do some serious damage to this ball of Sheldon that Spreezy has been building slowly but surely over time here. But if we don't manage to get some value with them, because of course those Sheldon can outrange the Pitbulls, it could be a nightmare. All those Rocketeers, and what did it buy you in the end? Well, eventually it bought you enough time to get a T2 transition up right here for the Maroon Commander, but we've just barely gotten a single Hound out on the field right here. Our metal economy is abysmal. We didn't upgrade these metal extractors. We've kind of left them in the wind. We're going into fusions before going for the metal extractors. T2 fusions are, well, T2 fusions, whether they're advanced or not, they cost T2 economies worth of metal, so it's always worthwhile to upgrade those mechs as much as possible. 4 times your economy. It's worth remembering. 4 times the economy. You can choose how you want to spend it, of course. You can make 4 times the T1 units, or you can make a whole bunch of T2. Not nearly as many, but T2 very ridiculously efficient. For instance, as we can see right here, we actually have the Hounds kind of split up. Half of them are in heavy plasma, half of them are in Gauss cannon mode. Not bad, actually, because when you mix up the composition like that, it means you're fairly resistant to assault units, fiends, sprinters, that sort of thing. But then, of course, you're also dealing that serious heavy damage that the other mode provides for you. The Butler moving forward, managing to reclaim a bunch of these wreckages. The Butler is such an interesting unit. Essentially just a mobile construction turret. I think it fits right in. I think it also justifies the Printer, which is an extra unit that I think should definitely be included in base game. For those of you that don't know, the Printer is a mobile, I mean, it is even more of a mobile construction turret. It can build, repair, reclaim, all that stuff while moving. It looks like a tank with the construction turrets on it. Yeah, construction turret on its back. It's a bit of a strange unit, but it does also open up quite a bit of interesting complexity to different compositions, right? You can build really tanky units, Fat Boys or Mammoths or anything like that. Zars, certainly, and send them forward, and then they have a mobile repair squad to keep them nice and healthy. Certainly a strategy we've messed around with live on streams, Tuesdays and Saturdays, 12 to 4 PDT. Always got to shell those out because we have a blast, and I want to give everybody an opportunity to tune in, say hi, and have some fun with us. I'm not joking. Probably some of the most unique games of Beyond a Reason I've ever played, or while we've been live on those live streams. Variety of different stuff happens. Sometimes we're graced by the presence of Flow themselves to try and bless us with a bigger lobby. Sometimes we just play with some interesting mutators. We got a chance last stream to talk with Hornet, who's one of the lead developers for the Legion faction. So we were talking about that while playing some Legion. It was good fun, and I definitely recommend it. We also had some noobs join. Got to have some polite coaching, right? Some coaching without roasting. Definitely something I've heard an outcry for, generally speaking. Nice bombing run over here. Yeah, it's just T1 bombers, but T1 bombers just about cut it. Especially against fusion reactors, wind turbines, or basically anything else. Here they go. Flak turrets are up and running right now. Flak turret's pretty good, but those bombers, they have enough range. Or are they going to be able to do it, though? They don't quite have the DPS, and eventually the build power does fall, but the APHIS remains intact. My goodness, flak turrets are pretty good, huh? Managing to shoot down all those bombers in tandem with the chainsaw, of course, not to dismiss the mighty chainsaw. But those flak turrets definitely saved the day right here. We're going to immediately start up more build power right here. Definitely the right idea. We need to desperately get some anti-air defenses up and running. Now, vehicles are one such option. Of course, you can go for those vehicle anti-air trucks. Really, really potent anti-air, those vehicle anti-air trucks. They offer you the mobility of vehicles, of course, but also with the firepower inherent to flak units, flak turrets. They're an excellent option. Definitely one of my favorite late game support strategies, just to go ahead and build about a cajillion flak trucks and just go ahead and scatter them all around my team. Usually you end up in a bit of a strange situation where you actually can move them around to intercept bombing runs. Save your air player quite a bit of headache, certainly. Strawberry's still on T1, surprisingly. We, at the very least, are spending the metal, which is nice to see. We have 2 fusion reactor economy up and running. A couple of solar panels. I'm sure those will get eaten up eventually here. But we are now, at this point in the game, going to go ahead and make a transition into T2. Actually, you know what? There's plenty of metal to make that T2 transition. It's just all out in the field. I've been watching quite a few lower skill games, shall we say, and oftentimes the metal never gets spent. Certainly, if you're looking for tips, that's one I can give you. Spend your metal. Yeah, find a way to spend it. If you don't have energy, build solar panels. If you have energy, build units or fusion reactors. Basically anything you can. Fighter waves coming across like this are definitely scary, though. Yeah, Strawberry forced to retreat the fighters over here because it's just a losing battle. If you engage against those fighters, you're just going to lose your air wall and have nothing to try and defend these bombers with. Bombers that are coming in immediately. Are we just going to carpet bomb the hell out of this area? We sure are. Multiple bases in the target right here, and my goodness, the devastation is massive. Beautiful bombing run right here from Leyline Leela, the Tan Commander in the skies, devastating the blue economies on the front. 1, 2, and 3 bases bombed. Back to the Stone Age right here. Beautifully, beautifully done. Strawberry trying her best to get units up in the skies, intercepting these bombers, but there's just too many fighters at this point, and they managed to shoot down all those very precious fighters remaining. AGO pops right here for the blue commander, shaking the economy, shaking the E economy right here. You can see relying on that heavily. That just dropped the economy by divided it by 3, more or less. It's a third of the economy. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, that was great. That was a really successful bombing run, and all at the cost of T1, not T2. If all that had been T2 bombers, I would say that probably would have been a fairly minimal amount of damage, actually. Just taking out some wind turbines, some E-converters, all that sort of stuff. We didn't even really kill very many of the labs or too much build power. But, yeah, considering that was all T1 and therefore relatively cheap relative to the T2 era anyways. Yeah, not bad. Not the end of the world. Pop-up turret here gets obliterated by some of the hounds out on the field. Looks like our Maroon Commander eventually solved their metal shortage, their E shortage. Got themselves into this game here and are now going to start pumping out some of those hounds onto the front line. Killer Sheldon Ball up on this northern side right here, and it looks like we've had a stalemate over here for hours. You have T2 overpower. You've actually had T2 for a good long while now. It's bizarre to me how this army hasn't pushed through this forward barricade here. Might be a failure of scouting. Could certainly do right here for our Seafoam Green Commander here to, yeah, just go ahead and invest in a couple of ticks. And well, would you speak of the devil? I swear I haven't seen this game before. No, I didn't. I don't watch these matches preemptively. At least if I can try not to. Yeah, there we go. Bunch of ticks running forward. Reveal immediately that we have virtually no T2 on the fronts here. We have a couple of Tiger tanks, but it'll be no match for this many hounds. If we start moving the hounds forward right now, it should be no matter to blast apart those Tigers, and eventually find yourselves in a pretty good spot pushing into the base right here of the Ground Commander. Denying a lot of eco too, of course, which is always valuable. Bulwark's been set up atop this hill here. Fiends running down into the pits and valleys. We had this missile truck firing away for the longest time. Certainly been a thorn in the side of the Orange Commander. Maybe part of the reason why we decided to pull the trigger here, but you know what? The defense is laid on strong. Nicely done right here. Yeah, the Fiend protection, the Scorpion turret's been built all over the place. This metal advantage is large over time, but it's not like we're giving up too much. I mean, we have 1 metal extractor, 2.0 metal extractor. There are ways to make up that advantage, going for E-converters or some such like that. Certainly to name a few of them. This is a much larger advantage, though. Losing 1, 2, 3, 4 mexes over here, yeah, that starts to hurt pretty badly. Shurikens in the sky. Oh, there they go. Jumping on top of a bunch of hounds over here. So easy for shurikens to find value. A bunch of fighters are pulled to try and shoot those shurikens down here. I don't mind that fighter pull, but we need to back it up with maybe some anti-air included on the front lines. 1 or 2 anti-air bots can do quite a lot, especially against shuriken. I'd love to see that mixed in here for the Maroon Commander, who we know is on bot lab tech. Here we go. This is exactly what I was looking for. The big sharpshooter push up here. We need some welders up in front of this, as I'm sure many of you predicted I would say. But this is fabulous. Really fabulous. Scuttle goes off right there. I recognize that sound anywhere. That was a scuttle bomb detonated right there by the yellow commander, I have to imagine, as we're building a second one right here. Trying to send some of those cloaked thermonuclear suicide bombers into the face here of the poor, unfortunate receiving end powder blue faces, powder blue and purple faces. Commander goes down. Sharpshooters, very dangerous. I guess the Hounds can sort of serve the same purpose as the Welders. They're a little bit less effective against spam, but if you put them in their Gauss mode, they're decent. Definitely decent. We just need to spread this out. We need to make this line a little bit thinner here. This is where the Welders are really powerful. And you know what? Hound's pretty good too, though. Shuriken's helping out a lot, mind you. But yeah, I would say the Hounds are actually doing their job quite well here. We just need to keep the Sharpshooters behind the Hounds. That is tricky because the Hounds move considerably faster than the Sharpshooters. Oh, we gotta be so careful about balling them up too. Leaves you very, very prone to any sort of AoE effect. Going for a tactical nuclear missile launcher, or just a tactical missile. I always called it a tactical nuclear missile launcher. Someone pointed out a long time ago that it is not a tactical missile or nuclear missile launcher. It's just a missile launcher. Anyway, tactical missile launcher, the catalyst. Well, already built right here. A missile is coming up. Fun fact about the Bulwark, if you click this button right here to turn it off, it actually gains a lot of armor, similar to the way that the pop-up turrets work. It allows you to sustain this sort of barrage quite a bit easier. Just a fun fact for anybody who might be in a circumstance where that's useful. You can think of it like a big repairable wall, if you'd like. D-gun. D-gun is the solution here. Dragons are relatively slow once they've locked onto a target here. We can go for a D-gun and try and shoot them out of the sky. Just not going to happen. That's going to be a whole lot of dead a whole lot of dead sharpshooters over here. Luckily, the air is up to T2 at this point. Strawberry up to spec. And it means that those dragons will be shot out of the sky. Fighters coming across right now to try and shoot down the fighters in green. We want to catch that air wall, that air ball. Fiends taking down the Seafoam Green commander on the northern side. What looked like a wonderful push right there was stalled out by, yeah, I want to say not having 4 or 5 welders. The dragons certainly are essentially uncounterable as a bot player. You have to lean very heavily on your air player to deal with that. Air Scout going across right here. Let's switch to the red player's view so we can actually see what we're detecting. That Air Scout was intended so that we could find where all the laboratories are. We have a jammer here, which means that the building signature isn't going to stay on the map. That's why you can see it's still dots and all that sort of stuff. One of the reasons why you want to get a radar jammer up quickly. It denies that scouting, especially if the player isn't paying very close attention to the scouting. It can be really, really useful. We're going for LLTs. I think beamers would be a more long-term solution right here. Any solution is going to be quite nice, though. Nuke. Air bursted right in front of our view right here. Tried to send it across the map. Meanwhile, AGO pops right here up on the northern side. Actually sends Spreezy's entire settlement up here. The whole colony goes up in smoke. Not the end of the world, though. Spreezy has big plans on the back of this here. And they all come at the cost of T3. Welder OP. I've been saying it for years. Well, not quite years, maybe. Months, to say the very least. And there they go, marching forward. Now, the red team is looking to close this game out. It feels like they're closer to an endgame solution here. We have the T3 labs coming up right now for the orange and also... Oh no, we don't have another T3 lab. I thought the yellow commander... Oh, there it is. Yeah. Tan commander making a gantry for the yellow commander to use, I guess. This is some good teamwork right here. Yeah, we're going to start up the gantry with the T2 constructor here, and then we're going to pay for it using the yellow player's economy, which I suppose is fair. We have a fabulous economy right here for Narnuk. Not the end of the world. Pimple turrets trying to blast away whatever they can. Welders moving forward. This is about exactly the fight that Welders want to take. Basically a bunch of cheap T1 units. Shuriken here. Destabilizing the advantage that the Welder had. And just like that, shutting all that down quite nicely. Shuriken have such a wonderful time paralyzing things like that. I just want you to know that they have a fabulous time. Emotionally speaking, I mean. They feel just about as giddy and overjoyed as you do. Whoa, big nuclear missile launch, by the way. Anti-nuke not quite charged right here for the Lavender Commander on the southern side. Oh, and that starts to hurt. Stupid now completely lost on the front line here. Well, you know, I say completely. We still have a Pitbull up and running. We still have the Rattlesnake up and running. We have dual commander power right here. Not that that's very much build power or anything, but it does afford you at least 2 D-guns in case you need to shut down, for instance, any early T3 coming across the map. We have an economy in the backline, though. That's the guarantee that the blue player was banking on, was having that economy in the back. At this point, our energy economy is sufficient that I think we can not be too affected by any sort of metal extractor losses on the front. I mean, it hurts, of course, but not the end of the world. Meanwhile, E-converters pop right here for the Admiral. Definitely unfortunate. So many scout planes going across the map. It's just T1 scouts, but they're effective in numbers. And remember, 4 times the economy means 4 times the amount of scouts. And just like that, they have a wonderful time finding the entire backline here of the blue player. Revealing, of course, that there is indeed no front line left. Always quite important to scout. Mammoth's here on the front to try and deny a lot of this. Actually doing a fabulous job. You know what? Somehow these mammoths have jumped on top of sharpshooters. We also have Sheldon here. All starting with Sh. Very difficult, very tongue-twistery. Man, is there a unit that's gotten more value this game than the Shuriken? Paralyzing those T3 units so the T1 can effectively deal with them. Shiva should, in theory, be perfect against T1. It is a matter of some debate, though. They certainly have specific drawbacks. For instance, friendly fire. A tremendous one of them. We do have T3 coming out, by the way. Purple Commander has built quite an impressive economy in the backline. We are now well into the epic late game, as some would call it. Massive tick swarm moving forward. Oh no. I don't think we have the facilities for dealing with this one. Oh, and it looks like the blue commander is tapped out of the game. Alright. Admitting defeat, apparently, here is stupid. Strawberry losing her newly acquired commander. Probably trying to figure out where it was. Not realizing exactly where those commanders are. Of course, when you're handed a commander, it's not easy. Both commanders die, but in their valiant sacrifice, they do manage to shut down that massive ball of ticks right there that the red commander was sending forward. Strange to see such a bizarre investment in ticks right here. I guess it's just something cheap to produce to put out on the field while we're dumping all our metal into more fusion reactors on the backline. Not the worst idea in the world, but definitely didn't achieve all too much of it. Razorback's decent for cleaning up this mess of T1 spam coming forward right now. Ticks will be blasted apart or deactivated, EMP'd, shut down by the Juno missile field right here, so glad to see that we're remembering about that. Razorback's going to be good enough to clean up the T1 spam here as well, and we need to get some Resbots up in this action immediately. Resbots to either resurrect this T3 or just reclaim it and turn it into Aphises or more T3 units or whatever you can. Going to be super, super valuable right now. Nuclear missile. Boom goes the front line. That's the power of proper scouting. Just putting that nuke barely outside. You can see the field of the yellow commander's anti-nuke. Hold on, let me pause and highlight this real quick. The field of the purple commander's purple commander's anti-nuke right here, and we put the center of that nuke right here. That's why we scout. That's why we look around for the nukes. It's just to make sure that whenever we put them down in valuable locations. The anti-air spam is immense. Yeah, those flag trucks having a field day blasting apart a lot of this stuff. You know what? Not catching as many of those bombers there as I imagined they would, though. I suppose they don't fire as quickly as some other options. Oh my goodness. The construction of this base was doomed to fail. The sheer number of E-converters placed next to that laboratory was ridiculous. Guaranteed the death of that lab, whether it got bombed or not. Pardon me, not Shurikens. Razorbacks marching forward right here. There is a behemoth on the field, though. Oh, no. Behemoth on the field is not what we're going to be happy to see. Certainly going to have the blue team quaking in their boots. Slowly quaking in their boots. Titan is out and available. Behemoths are essentially Titan killers, though. So short of a D-gun, I don't think we have any efficient way of dealing with that Titan yet. How much damage it does here. Nearly one-shotting Razorbacks. That is a nearly 4,000 metal investment down the drain in a single blast from a $20,000 investment. Obviously, you pay a steep price, but you also get an incredibly efficient unit out of it. Strawberry trying to hold it together. Now switching to a ground-based, well, not quite a ground-based composition, but expanding the build power here. Trying to continue building whatever she can. But there is 3 demons marching towards this base. The front line has been blasted to smithereens right now. Only the purple, seafoam green, and green commanders remain in the compositions right here for the blue team. Suddenly, with the introduction of all this T3 on the front lines, things are starting to look quite desperate. I do see a sneaky bomber run moving across the northern side, though. There's also a Razorback in the front lines, or in the back lines, pardon me, over there. Want to keep my eyes over on this side. Demons blasting apart the advanced fusion reactors, and that is Angry Strawberry's entire economy, or just about. Blasted to smithereens. Razorback, oh my goodness, it was close. 5% HP on that. Oh, can we please bomb the injured one? That would be ideal. We need 2 bombers to bomb the injured one. Boom goes the base for Leela and Leela. Beautifully done. No air coverage over here. I'm surprised the fighters weren't pulled. There they go. Finally going to clean a lot of this up. And despite how wonderful that is, I don't know if it's going to be a big enough advantage to bring back this game. Bombers into the sky, trying to take down some of these demons. They're a tough target to hit. They're fairly quick, especially for T3. Flamethrowers don't give any sort of care in the world for those shield generators. They'll blast right through them. And just like that, the base of the purple commander falls. The purple team, well, the purple commander as well as the rest of the blue team throw in the towel, and it will, in this matchup, beyond all reason, be the red team that claims victory. What a hard-fought battle back and forth between these two teams. Lovely, lovely stuff. I almost feel like the blue team could have had it on that northern side if we were way more aggressive, but an excellent brawl on the southern side right here. Very, very fun to see. Always remember, of course, that if you enjoy these videos, I deeply appreciate a like and subscribe down below. All that good YouTuber stuff that we're always asking about. I want to see these graphs. Oh, yeah. Despite a tremendous economy, there were still 4 economies underneath that were all in favor of the red team. Always a tricky one to see. Always tricky to figure out what went wrong when that's the kind of graph that you see. Thanks a ton for watching, everybody, and I will see you in the next match of Beyond All Reason.